We are looking at the life of Joseph. So let's go to Genesis chapter 40. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against the two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, unto the prison, the place where Joseph was found. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. Now, this word season is, like summer, winter, and fall. So they stayed like good 3 months in prison there. And these were the upper people, the butler and the baker was the upper people, the one that took care of everything. Anything that the Pharaoh wanted, then they were the ones to take care of it. Number 5, and they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream, in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came into them in the morning, and looked upon them, and behold, they both were sad. I believe I would be sad too. If I had to be in prison, I wouldn't have no smile on my face and all. But if you look, we have dreams and we have a butler. Think about it this way. You have the spiritual food. And so you have spiritual food for God or spiritual food for Satan, which is witchcraft. All right, and how about the baker? That's spiritual food. The butler. Let's look at it this way. You have demons on Satan's side, and you have the Holy Spirit on God's side. Okay, so let's look at that as we go on. Number 7, and he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house. Now I want you to look at that one. His Lord's house. It'd be a small L, but it's his Lord's house. Wherefore, look ye so sadly today? And they said to him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpretation of it. And Pharaoh said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me them, I pray you. So he's saying that the interpretation belongs to God. So God is the only one that can interpret them. And he walks with God. So he is going to be able to do the interpretation. And the chief butler told his dream to Pharaoh, and said unto him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me. And in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and their blooms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are for 3 days. If you look at it, what he did was he took each thing, like the branch, and, all right, well, what makes a branch? Like having children. Every day somebody is having children. Okay? 13. And within 3 days shall the Pharaoh lift thy hand, and restore thee into thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former manner, in thou wast his butler. 14. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. I don't want to be here no more. Please say something. Show kindness that I showed you the interpretation of your dream. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into this dungeon. It's self-explanatory. I'm here and I shouldn't be here. I've been stolen away. 16. When the chief butler saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. Oh boy, he gave him a good report. Maybe he'll give me one too. Okay. And the uppermost baskets, there was all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh. All right, this baked meats is like cupcakes, cookies, and good old sweet food. All right, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. Well, this right here didn't turn out too good. He's saying you could take them and see that the birds ate it up. Therefore, you could say, hey, this is not going to be good, because nature came and is eating it up. And when nature gets a hold of it, it don't look good. Number 18, and Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Another plain thing. You got 3 days worth of food there. But, let's go on. 19. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. Now, I want you to look at this verse. This verse, for these birds to be eating him, he had to be on there for a long time on that tree, hanging, because as soon as the body dies doesn't mean that the birds are going to, it's going to have to put a little bit of stink to it before the birds will come and eat off of it. They want to make sure it's dead. Okay? "20. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday." Now, you got to know that Joseph knew that in 3 days was going to be the Pharaoh's birthday. I mean, he used to run his household. He had to bound to know. All right, that he made a feast unto all his servants. And he lifted up his head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again. So the butler, he got to go back to work. So, okay, you served me, you stayed with me, you know me, you know. I figured out what happened, what was stolen, and what was done, and I know who done it, and it's time to pay your due, okay? And he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand, but he hung the chief baker, okay? So the chief baker had to bound to stole something, or something happened that the Pharaoh didn't like him anymore, and all. As Joseph had interpreted unto them, yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. to me, that's a little bit on the mean side. I would have remembered him. I would have said, hey, I told this fellow down there a dream, and it was pretty good. But God has his time. And when God has his time, you know it's always a good time. Because it's like a well-geared machine. It goes together, and it's all for his glory.